Okay, so we're going to start the next video, which is part 2 of the beanie. And as you can tell from how I ended part 1, I'm not real proficient in pausing and restarting the video. So it had me redo a second one. So I'm going to show you where we are now. This is what we should have been doing. I want you to crochet that single crochet ribbing all the way up until we have 20 inches. You can kind of see I can't really get the whole camera on here, so I'm just going to put my ruler on here and show you. When you measure it, you don't stretch it out. As you can see, it's got this give in it. Lay it flat. Measure it. So I am at about 19 inches. Let's actually get this measured real solid. Lay it down there. Put my ruler over here. Come to here, and you can see I'm at about 18 inches. So we're going to do 2 rows together, or 2 inches together, rather, just to refresh it. I want you to notice how nice and straight these edges are. I didn't mention this in the first video, but I do this with most hats. For the ending, I usually don't do the half double. For about an inch, I do single crochet. So at this end, you kind of have it tapered, because this is going to pull together when we're done, and it's going to be the top of the hat. That just gives it a little bit cleaner look. But for today, we're just going to do this. This is a very easy way to do it, and nobody knows the difference except you. So I've ended here, solid, not back loop, half double, chain 1, turn my work. As you can see, my work has gotten quite large. Makes it a lot easier to hold on to. A little harder to work in this small area, but easy enough. Back loop. Going along there in that back loop. Let me try to get a little bit of light on this subject here. Okay, let me put a light over here and see if this is going to help. I have ordered a light to make this a little easier for you guys. It's just a little hard to get this without the shadowing. And as you can see, we're going to go right in that little spot right there. I'm sure you all remember that, and you've got this whole thing done already. If not, you just work on it as you want to. Takes you a few days, a few months, don't worry about it. Just keep doing. Like I said, with the half double, you've got this spot here that looks like a stitch, but you want to turn it up. Always keep your fingers holding onto that so you have the top. Once again, using my fingers, my thumb to hold that yarn on. I'm putting it in the back loop. Back loop. Pulling it through. I might actually pause this. Not pause this, I'm sorry. Stop this and make this just about 18 or 19 inches, and it's going to be for my grandson, who's only 5. Might be a little big, we don't know, but I'm going to stop it at the end of this row so I can show you how to join it. Now, you saw the tail when you started your chain. Just leave that there. The best thing to do is actually to end at the opposite end of that tail. I'll show you why in a second. So what I might do is let's finish these 2 rows. Who knows, I might be at 20 inches anyway. We'll be okay. Let's keep coming along. I hope you've had fun making this and kind of noticing how your ribbing is. You can see how that works as a hat. I know that seems silly to think that we're making a rectangle to make a round hat, but just trust me. This is how you do it. You can crochet in the round if you want. You'd start at the top of the hat and work yourself around, making it larger and larger. A little more difficult, a little more tedious. This is just a nice, easy way to do it. Don't have to worry about counting your stitches. Don't have to worry about losing your place. Let's just keep crocheting along here. Here we go. Excuse me. Here we go. Got to keep pulling the yarn out of the skein. I don't have it in a bag like I talked about on the other video to make it simpler, or on my lap. I'm sitting at a table, so it's got a little bit more tension on it. That's okay. Like I said, you just got to readjust this left hand as many times as you need to. There is nothing wrong with that. Using my right hand to hold my hook very lightly, very lightly. Making sure I hold onto those loops with my thumb, so they don't fall off or get too big or too little. You got this shank of this hook, and that's kind of the tension, the size of the hook you want it, the high size of the loop you want it to be. I'm sorry. Okay, now let me show you how we do it at the end, because remember I was going to do it in the last video. You've got this single crochet that you made. So you want to flip it kind of over, just like you were doing to get to the back loop, but I want you to go through both loops. Got to look over there. Make sure you're just going through right through those, underneath those two, just like you were stitching a normal blanket. Go through, chain one. Now, we're going to get to the end of this row, and then I'm going to show you how to join this together to make a hat. Because right now we have this big old flat thing, kind of looks like a blanket. So I flip my work over. I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to double crochet into there. Chain one and turn my work before I did. My goodness, let's back up what I said. I chain one, I turned, and I did a half double crochet in there. Guess my mind's just not quite with it today. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here. Very cool. There we go. A good day for crocheting, which I think every day is a good day for crocheting, but when it's warm, it gets a little toasty under if you're working on a great big old blanket. Now I have made hundreds of blankets, and I have pictures of quite a few of them. I'm not sure exactly how to post it on this page, but I might see if I can. And if somebody wants to know specifically how to make any one of them, I can do that. Some of them are a little more intricate. Some of them are pretty simple, but they're all made with some basic stitches. Just different ways to do it. There's the shell stitch, the corner to corner stitch, blanket stitch. There are so many stitches. A lot of them are just something I've experimented with and didn't even realize they had a name. Because you really can't go wrong as long as you're doing it consistently. You're doing a nice steady stitch. It's just wrapping around into making knots. Let's keep going. We're almost to the end of this. Then I'm going to show you what we do. You can put, this beanie can be made with a pom-pom, can be made without a pom-pom. If we have time, maybe I'll show you how to do a pom-pom. You can do it with cardboard. I did finally invest in pom-pom forms. Makes it a lot easier and keeps it a little more consistent. Though I did make a hat for my son, and he wanted a huge pom-pom. So I had to use a special big old cardboard for that. That pom-pom weighs more than a hat, but he likes it. You can also buy pom-poms to put on them. Sometimes they're just called poms. I grew up where they were called pom-poms, so that's what I'm going to say. You can buy them that are made out of fur or fur-looking. Those are really cute to put on top too. We might do that to this one. I had a friend give me one, but we'll see. We'll just see if we even want to put a pom-pom on it. A lot of times people just don't want it that way, and that is okay. The nice thing about them is they're removable, but they do cover up the top where you stitch the hat together. So that's kind of nice because it's kind of ugly at the top. Okay, we're almost to the end here. I'm just crocheting in that back loop. Then we're going to do a slip stitch and join these two edges together. Okay. If you do make a hat and you want to do the last couple stitches in the single crochet, you have a lot more of a tighter weave up here, so you have less to bring together. So let's take a look here. We have, see if I can change this. No, that's not so nice. So we have this nice rectangle. Okay, you can kind of see that it's a rectangle. Let me see if I can maybe make it more clear. Let me get my phone up here a little bit. You can see that I have a rectangle. Okay, let me put this back down here and let's show you how to join them together. Like I said, you want to end on the opposite end of your tail, your beginning chain tail. The reasoning is because when we work our way back up, sewing these two sides together, then we're going to stitch them together and we're going to join them together. So right now we have this square, big rectangle, I'm sorry. So lay it in half. So you have it folded in half like this. You can kind of see that it's folded in half. I want your working rows together, not your edges. Your edges are over here. You're going to sew on your working edge. So put these two together, just like this. You can use stitch markers to hook it together if you want, but it's really not necessary because this is pretty simple. So let's grab our yarn here. Remember, working thread towards me. I'm not going to chain one now. I'm just going to go right over here to where I would have made that. This is our chain row. So it's going to be a little snugger to get into, but that's okay. We're just going to go underneath it. So we're going to go clear down here to the end as far as we can because we want our ends to match up. You might have to force that, baby, just to get that in there pretty good. Just kind of force that in there because we want this to be straight together. And what we're going to do is we're just going to grab our hook and we're going to pull it through that other side. Pull it through. It might be a little snug, and then pull it through your loop. Oops, I got my thread backwards. Okay, now turn your work. So you've got it started there. So you're going to just want to go all along here with the slip stitch. And the way you do that is you're going to go through. Right here we've got this chain, the chain row towards us. So just kind of go through. Let me see if I can show you what we're going to do. See this chain? And you can kind of see this spot right here and right here and right here. You're going to go through that and into all of these. And then they match up pretty well at the end, usually almost exactly. So let's just keep going. We go through, get that thread out of the way, go through there. This is a little firmer, a little harder to get through. And once we get ourselves started, it's pretty easy. So we'll go through that one, pull it through, and then don't grab any yarn, just pull it through. It's called the slip stitch. You're going to go through there. Okay, I'm sorry, let me back it up here and go through. You can do the single crochet along here if you want, but it makes it just a little thicker. Go through the next one, pull it through, pull it through. Go through this, go through the next stitch, pull it through, pull it through. This is going to be the inside of your hat, so it's okay that these stitches are showing. If you don't have a problem with how it looks, make it the outside of the hat. So you're going to go into that. So it's like you took the chain, and remember with the chain, you started the stitches in the back of that little heart. Now you're going to take this and go through those other two sides of it. So you're going to go through two. Now we're going to pull it through there, pull it through here, and keep it flat up against it. You don't want to. And if you accidentally go into a spot that's not really designed for it, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Okay, so after I've done a few stitches, like I said, we take a look at it. And that's how it's supposed to look. Nice and steady. And we pull our yarn together and we can see that we're still even all the way along. So let's get this back in here. I'm going to have you just follow along with me as we slip stitch these two sides together. Get it up here where you can see it. You want this to be fairly snug because this is holding two pieces of yarn or two pieces of work together. When we get to the end of this, we're going to stitch the top together. Very simple. You're going to need a darning needle for that. You can use a crochet hook if you want. There's many ways to do it. I'll show you, if I get a chance, I'll show you both ways. The darning hook is pretty nice to have for when you're to get done because you need to weave in those ends. Sometimes you can stitch over them, but you can't stitch over everything real snugly. So you stitch over a few loose ends, and then you weave them back into a different direction, and then they hold in for you. Sometimes after a couple washings or wearings, you have to... Okay, let me look. Yep, I'm still pretty much coming out at the end, so I haven't dropped or added a stitch. That's what we want to just check ever so often. You don't check every so often, you may end up going, oh no, I've got 2 inches left at the end. What do I do now? And if you check it ever so often, you just might have 1 or 2 stitches you did wrong. And you can take them back out. Let me pull my camera this way just a little bit so you make sure you're getting a good view of that. No wrapping, just what's on the loop. And I'm holding it because this is a little bit firmer to get through. Remember, your first chain row is a little bit of a different baby. It's got to be treated just a little differently. Something else you can do, which I have done before, is just the first row is just a simple single crochet row. Then you have 2 loops to go through. Makes it a little easier, but not necessary, and it's kind of an extra step. Okay, now that I've gone a few more rows, I'm going to check. And look at there, I got a problem. So what did I do? Looks like this side's maybe getting a little bit snugger than this side. Maybe I need to just skip a stitch right in here. I don't know, you just kind of have to look at it. Looks like it's pretty even, so we'll just keep going actually. Oops, got it backwards again. There we go. The nice thing about hooking this together at the end is you kind of know what you need to be doing. So I'm actually going to go into here and I'm going to skip that stitch and go right into there. Now we're going to do a few more stitches. Oh my goodness, not sure why I keep getting off camera with you guys. I am sure sorry about that. Let's get back up here. And let's take a look. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. That looks nice and even. This looks good. Looks good. Okay, we're just going to keep going. You're going to make this left side that we're getting to is going to be the top of the hat anyway. So if you have a little bit of a mess up there, don't worry about it. let's just get things going here. These chains can sometimes be a little bit tricky to see what you're going into, but let me try to show you real carefully. Get the hook out of the way. So you've got these little rows here. You're going to want to pick right there and right there and right there. Kind of see the little hump with 2 threads? That's what you're going to go under, right there. Then on the other side, you can see like a normal stitch, you're just going to go right through those 2. No more back loop. We are doing solid work here. Okay. Whoops. I might skip one more stitch just to get things even here. Okay, we're going to go into that, and we're going to go into that one. Whoops, see, I almost made myself a single crochet. Where are we? We're about right here. Try to keep it lined up. If you got to skip a stitch and go to the next one, don't worry about it. Just go ahead. And let's take a look. Looking good. Looks like I got a little something going on right there, but that's okay. We're going to cuff that up. Let's look at the other side. See if it looks good. Not so much. You can see I got a little glitch right there. Not sure why. Let's back it up 4 or 5 stitches. And let's just put it together and see what we can do. Okay. Okay, so I got to go to this stitch. And I might have gone into the wrong side or skipped a loop. Who knows? Looking good, looking good. That chain row is a little bit snugger, so it looks like it's a little bit smaller than the other one, but when you go through each one of those, it should work out fine. If not, we'll back it up and we'll do a decrease somewhere, which just means we skip a stitch in this particular situation. Sometimes a decrease means you put 2 stitches in one. That's not the case with this thing. Okay, so we're going to skip a stitch. What I might do is count. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to skip 1. Go through this one. And now instead of going in here, let's go in here. So somewhere back here, I might have miscounted. That's okay. That's the nice thing about crochet. You can just pick it up and move on. And like I said, no humans are perfect. So you just do your best. Looks like we're pretty good. I'm going to do one more skip. This is where we're going to seal it together to the top of the head. So I want it to be nice and tight here. Okay. So now we're at the end. And we've got our hook, our little string hanging out here. So I want you to go right underneath that thread and right into that last one. Pull it through as a slip stitch. Okay. Now we have a tube sewn together. This is open, and this is open, but this is tied together. So you can see that seam looks really nice. And on the other side, it looks nice too. So it really doesn't matter which way we put it. Okay, so got our little hang tail from our original. That's okay. We can do this a couple different ways. We can cut this thread and just weave this through. A little more difficult. Let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to take out about 4 feet of thread. Okay, we're going to cut it. We're going to set our hook off to the side for a minute. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie off this. I'm going to pull this through almost like a slip stitch at the beginning. Pull your yarn clear through that and pull that snug. That kind of makes that secure right there. Okay, now we're going to, let me get a needle and show you. You can buy things, which I have one, I'll have to show you to you later, that helps you push through there. You can use stitch counters, or these crochet hooks that are nice and fat and they're pretty dull on the end are the best thing for yarn. Just put that through there, pull it up just like you were going to sew. And I've got much more yarn than we need, but that's okay. Then we're going to just start going through here. Go through that side, come back through this one, and we're just going to weave and bob along. It can be fairly loose. Looks like stitching. Your extra yarn tail should be shorter than your working yarn, but what did I do? Haven't pulled it quite that much. I might cut this just so you don't have to watch me do so much yarn. So what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to, let me make a few more and I'll show you. Go in and try to just go through those loops. They can be every fourth, every second, third loop, doesn't matter. You're just going back and forth, okay? Because what's going to happen at the end is we're going to gather this up like that. See how that is? That's going to make a nice circle at the top. When I talked about when I make a hat, I usually, and I don't know why I didn't show you that this time, I think I just was picking an old-fashioned way to do it. My end rows are not or not half double or double or whatever I've been making the hat out of. About 1 inch up, I stop and make the stitch a single crochet. That makes this top a lot smaller, so you have a lot less to weave together. We're just going to keep zigging and zagging. There is no right or wrong where to put that in. You could stick it in this big hole here. You can stick it in this little hole here. It doesn't matter. You're just kind of going back and forth. If you consistently do it in those two spots, it'll be simpler. We're almost done here. Okay, let's go into there, to there. You try not to split the yarns. If you do, that happens. It's okay. It's not so important here. But you want to get a nice, good grip. You don't want the stitches too far apart because you want it to be able to pull it snug and not have too much of a gap. And what I do after I pull it is I like to stitch back and forth. This is where a little bit of sewing skills comes in, but it's not necessary. Whoopsie, I don't want to go through just one thread. I want to go through a few. Because when you pull, you don't want to accidentally break it. And when I said you want to end where your tail is up there, we're going to actually tie those together when we go to seam them through so we can hide them. I know this is a little bit longer video, so if you need to pause it and practice this over and over, you do that. Okay, not sure how much longer my phone's going to let me do this, but we're just going to see if we can keep going. If I have to make a third one, I will. Almost done. Let's put it right through. Let's go to the top there. Let's go through there. Okay. Whoops, got myself a little knot. Let's pull it out of there. Oh, see what I did there? Somehow got myself knotted because that happens sometimes. So I'm back at the beginning. So we're going to very carefully pull this along. You're going to snug it up, but don't pull tight because you're going to break your yarn. So just keep pulling it. See how it's closing together? Just kind of work it around so you don't hold that firm, and then work it around. So it's pulling it in. Look at that. See, there's the top of your hat. Okay. Now, you can leave it like that if you want. Don't yank, but pull it as snug as you can. Make sure you got it as snug as it can be. Now, this is going to be the inside of the hat. So you see this. I want to take my thread that we've got hanging out here, and I'm going to actually go stitch back and forth between those two so that there's not a big hole at the top. Some people don't care. Some people leave it. I just don't care for it. Just grab yourself a little bit of that yarn. It's okay if you're accidentally splitting a yarn. You don't want to do that too often, but and we're going to do like a blanket stitch. So when we come back, we kind of got that wrapped around it. See that? Come over here. Let's try to get a good grip on it. Come over there. Go back through. Go back through your hook or through your loop. Pull it up. Okay, we are almost done with this hat. Go back in here. Go back through. There. Now we have a fairly tight top. So then, got our yarn here. I want to weave this kind of just through some yarns. Just comb back through here with that to get it back over here to this one yarn. Okay. Then we're going to tie. Just leave this hanging here. You can cut it. We're going to put our needle down there where we want it to be because we're going to weave these back in. But we're going to cut it about here. Okay, pull that out of there. You could have pulled it out before, I guess. Put it in a couple of knots. I like to wrap my knots twice like that. Makes them a little more stable. Okay, so this is probably going to be the end of the video. We're going to tie this off. I'm going to show you how to weave this in another video. But looky here. We're going to flip this inside out. We're going to roll up the bottom. And we have us a beautiful, let me take this off of here and show you. A beautiful little beanie. Look at that. Look what you made. Look, let me see. Let me try to get a better picture of it. Whoops. There you go. You made yourself a little beanie or a little hat. And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple.